Hi everyone, it's Nancy from Papercraft Arts. I'm here to do Roxy's weekly challenge, week 6, and what she made is what I call document folders. They're basically, like a stack of like papers. I used about 5 per folder that you stick in a journal for the journaler to use, to add to their journal. And that's basically it. It does take a lot of prep work, I would say, to gather all your papers together. But once that's done, they go pretty quickly. The kind of papers that I gathered together and that Rachel used in her video, she used various kinds of things, digitals, book pages, some designer paper. I clipped mine all together so I could show you. Here's some book pages. Some of them are in a different language, French, German. This is a book from my dad's statistical book. And this is from one of his workbooks. This is a page from Sears catalog, an old Sears catalog. So that's one stack. And I'm gonna put them over here. Then I went through some of my botanical books and gathered together some pages from those. This is from floral book. This is Edith Holden. This is a herbal book, Edith Holden, and more floral books. I thought I had pulled some, yes. I pulled some images from a bird book. Yeah, so that's another type. Then I went through my folder of vellum, and I picked out all kinds of different, offcuts of vellum that I had. There's that. And then this is kind of a mishmash, I guess you could call it. Some notepad paper, a to-do list that I copied, coffee dyed. This is some vintage paper, actually, from a composition book. And then some graph paper and forms from more of my dad's statistical books. So that's that stack. Let me just clip this back together. We don't have papers flying everywhere. Oh, and then I had a box of handmade papers, and I went through that and pulled a bunch of odd handmade papers that I had. You have a choice of that. And then I thought these would be fun to include. These are like, these were from Pink Monarch Prints Ephemera, vintage ephemera. I thought these would be fun to include. And then I put a back on them. So I have those. And these are some digitals I had lying around. Some of these are Artie Mae's collage that were free on her Facebook group. And this is some packing paper that I got, that I saved. I like the color. And coffee dyed paper, ledger paper, just some odds and ends paper, plain papers. So we have those. And then, it doesn't end, does it? These are some scrapbook papers that I pulled out that I thought I could use. And I'm almost done, I promise. Yep, this is the last one. And then music paper. I have a lot of music paper. Some of them are really brittle, but they're pretty cool. I mean, they have the writing on them, and you can just, cut these down if you want. You know, that's what I did, cut them down to fit the little folder. So there we go. There we have all our papers. Now for covers, you can pretty much use anything. You know, a book page that's not too fragile and that won't crack when you fold it. Here's some scrapbook cardstock, designer cardstock. I made one out of that and it worked real well. This is a digital, and I just printed on the back some of my avocado dyed paper. And this is from a book, and this is a pretty thick paper. This is from a botanical book. So I thought what we'd do is we'd make one together, and then I'd show you the different fasteners that I used when I made them, and that Rachel used too. So I thought we'd start with the Edith Holden page, because I didn't make one like that yet. So it's real simple. You can make it as long as you want. You can make it as wide as you want. I made different sizes. It depends on the size of journals that you make in general. Sometimes I make little ones. Sometimes I make book-sized ones. So I made different sizes. So you decide which side you want on the inside, because it's going to be folded up into like thirds like this. So I want this on the outside, and I decided to have this on the inside. Now I found it was easier to fold your cover first and then fold it again once you got the papers in. So I did it like this. There's no measurements involved. You fold it how you want it to be. Like this is the bottom part that folds up, and this will be the flap that comes down. And first of all, you want to make your fold at the top, which is going to hold the papers. And that's the part that you're going to punch holes in order for to fasten the papers inside. I'm going to grab my bone folder here. So I made, this is about a little more than a half an inch, more like 3/4. But I made them all depths. And if you don't think it's, if you think it's too thin, you can fold it twice. You know, fold it once and then fold it over again. Okay, so that's my flap, and then I'm gonna decide here how much I want it to fold, the top to fold over, and I like it right there, like that. So I'm gonna fold the top first and score or burnish it. Lost for words today. And then hold the bottom up, and you want to leave a little space, because once you put like 5 or 6 papers inside, it gets a little thick, and that space gives it space to, you know, for those papers to sit nicely in there. Okay, so that's the cover. That's it. That's all there is to the cover. And then I open it back up, and I start picking out my papers to go in it. So let's just grab a stack here. And, you know, anything that doesn't fit, you know, I see how I can maybe, you know, if I can cut it down and it'll still be good. So let's take this really fragile music paper, and I'm just gonna even up that edge there. And then I could fold this up if I wanted to, but because it's so fragile, I'm just gonna rip off the bottom there. Okay, So, and then I can use this scrap for collage. So I'll set that aside. So there's one to go in there. Let's see. Let's do, yeah, one of these, a botanical page. We could use this one. This one might go in nicely. Yeah, and they can be all widths, the papers that go inside. Any width you want, any width that works. I'm gonna even up this edge too a little bit. That's why I don't have my other board on today, because I use my mat when I'm tearing, so I can make a straight tear. Okay, so there's that. That's like 2 pages. And then how about some vellum? Pick out some vellum. Do orange. Do yellow. Do this. Let's do, how about this one? This is pretty. Now if you go too narrow, this is a good example. If you go too narrow, then you're gonna have to move your holes, because there's 2 holes at the top. You're gonna have to move your holes in. But they'll still hold the papers enough, to, fasten them. So keep that in mind when you're, adding papers. And I'll straighten up this edge just a little bit. I really enjoyed making these. They were a lot of fun to make. So there's that. There's 2, 3. Can't count. How about some of this purple stuff? Packing paper. I'll do some of that. I'm gonna just slip it in, and now I'm gonna just fold this up like that. So, and then Rachel did that too. She stacked them like according to the size or the width. So you do that. I did most of mine like that, except where there was one that, where there was one that I liked better on top. Well, we could do French. We could do, oh, this is cool. This is a book from, this is a McGuffey's Reader page from McGuffey's Reader that I found this past summer. So we'll put that in. Now these aren't real thick pages, so maybe I could manage 6 pages. So let's see. Let's pick out a piece of scrapbook paper. Let's see what we got here. Maybe some of this butterfly. Yeah, let's slip a piece of that in. So I want it about this long. Just make a little full mark there. Put it on my board. Actually, no, that would be upside down. So let's measure it from, see this little edge here? Let's measure it from there, because I don't really want to make it narrower. And then it already is, so just gonna tear it off on that side. And then that should work. So I'm gonna put this one below, because I like how that vellum shows through the flowers. Or we could do the vellum showing through the butterflies. Oh, we'll do it that way. Okay, so you've got your papers together. Then you stack them up, like I said, like according to size or however you want them. And you slip them in your folder here, like that. And then I take a clip to hold them together. And then I mark where I want my holes. I was doing it by eye, for most of them. And I'm not real good with doing things by eye, but they came out okay. So here's my narrowest piece, which is this vellum. Let's move that over just a little bit. There, that's better. So I'm gonna make my hole like right there, and I'll make one like right there. Okay, now you can fasten these different ways, and I did all different. Well, I did a bunch of different ways when I made mine. You can do brads. Use brads. You can, and I have several different kinds of brads here. You can use, tie it with twine, baker's twine or ribbon. Or you can use these. And when I watched the video, the first thing that came to mind were these folders that offices use, and at the top of the folder there's a fastener that holds papers together. So I went on Amazon and got a box of them, and then I tried to color them, make them look rusty, but I didn't quite achieve that. But I used what I had to color them. And there's these things. There's this thing with the prongs, and then this slips over, oops, and goes through the holes, and then you fasten it with these little sliders here. Push that prong down and slide it. I'll show you when I put one on. I have one over here ready to show you. But for this one, we're going to use brads. Oh, and to paint, to color these, I use these patina paints. I use them a lot to color charms and other various metal pieces that, you know, are either too shiny or they're the wrong color. And I use these. They work great. And all you have to do is take a heat gun after you've painted them and they've dried. Take a heat gun, and that will set the paint so it doesn't rub off. So there's a little tip from me. Okay, so I'll get my hole punch here. I have my We Are Memory Keepers. And I'm going to use the small hole. I think I'm going to use these big brads. I think they'll still go through the small hole. If they don't, then we can punch it again. Oh, there. And then I use this little guide on the side. It's got, you know, it's marked. And to know where, you know, I punched, I use it as a guide to get the other side even. I'm looking for something to poke out my little piece of paper there. Okay, so let's see. Right about there. There. It doesn't have to be perfectly centered. And I thought we'd use these copper ones. Copper brads. Copper colored. And you just push it through, spread it out, push this one through, spread it out. At the end of the video, I'll show you some of the other ones I made, and it'll give you an idea of sizes and various types of covers I used. And then I just used this fold that I already made as a guide to know where I want to fold it up. And it kind of helps because when the papers get thick, it's you know, it's the guide is nice to have. Finish that down, and then my other fold. And then to use to close them up, or you know, like a closure to them, because some of them might pop up like this. I wrapped some of them in twine. You can use a paper clip. You can use like a bulldog clip. I think these were Tim Holtz ones, like that, and stick it in a pocket. What else did I have in mind? Oh, you can use a paper clip. I have these special ones. I think I got them at Hobby Lobby. I'll show them to you. Let me get them out. These ones, these are kind of a vintage look to them. I kind of like them. And then you can put something in the circle there if you want. So that's basically it. And then you have this, you know, nice front, or yeah, it goes this way. Rachel used most of the papers that went this direction, but most of the papers I had went the other way. So I think it works either way. And then you just, you know, open it up, and this is what, you know, the journaler has to work with. They can use these papers in their journal while they're journaling. And the brads give them an opportunity to take the papers out and, you know, keep the other ones in place until they use them. So that's one. Now I'll show you the one that I put this one together. This is music paper, and because I felt like this paper was kind of thin and a bit fragile, not too fragile, I folded it over twice. I should have made a bigger fold, which I will do here so my holes catch that double fold. There, that's better. And another tip I had, if you use something like this piece of ephemera, if possible, I mean, I thought, as an afterthought, I had this. Let me get a piece. When you're cutting it out, and you want to slip it in like this, when you're cutting it out, leave a margin there so that when you poke the holes go through the plain part and not the piece of ephemera. You can't always avoid that if you're using, you know, real ephemera, or if you're using a piece of ephemera that you already had cut out. But it's just a thought I had and an idea. So, okay, let's put these back in and clip them back together. And we'll use one of those fasteners that I showed you. So I'm trying to get these a little straight. They don't too cockeyed. All right. Put my clip on. I'm gonna put it high up like that because when I take the fastener, let's see what color I want. And now I'm gonna use this one. There's the bottom part. I guess I should have picked this out before I started the video. That one works better. Okay, so I take this piece and I just kind of center it where I want it, and I mark the holes. I did find out that it's better to use a larger hole punch than this one here. And if you have a hole punch, let me just stand up here and grab mine. If you have a hole punch that works through that many papers, that's fine, but you can still use this hole. It's just a little tighter to get these prongs through. So I'm gonna see if this will work. It might be too thick. Ah, yay, worked. And well, there. Okay. Then I take this piece, I bend up the prongs, and zip it through the holes, and then put this part on. It's easy as that. These are pretty inexpensive too. They weren't expensive at all. The only problem is that if you get them on Amazon, you have to buy quite a few, like 50 or 100. They come to 50 to 100 to a box. Now because of the paint, this got a little bit stuck, so I'll push it a little bit. And then that one slides over there like that. And it's a little crooked, but it's, well, so then the journaler can just open them up, take out what they want, and then refasten it. So let's fold this back up. You can decorate them. I'll show you ones that I decorated. After I'm done with this. Burnish that. Burnish that. And see, this one lies nice and flat because it's a thinner paper for the cover. And there you have it. You could put a botanical image on the front, or a bird. I like birds and music together. And I don't have mine out, or I would do it. And then you can also take, let's do the twine. I took the twine and I slipped it through underneath this. I just took something, what did I use? You can use these scissors, maybe that'll work. Or no, let's use these tweezers. And I just slipped it under, pushed it through. Okay, like that. And then, did I do it the wrong way? No. Then I wrapped the twine around a couple times. And let's make this a little longer. And then I just tied it in one loop. I like the one loop rather than a bow. Just trim that off. And as I fumble around to make a stupid loop. Oh, I'm gonna leave this a little longer. Pull it more. There we go. And it's a beautiful day out today. It's hard to believe it's February, but the sun is shining, and it's close to 50 degrees. That's warm for February in Northeast Ohio. It's not your average temperature. But with climate change, you never know, it might be in the future. Okay, and then just, there you go. It's wrapped up. I think they're great. And then you can stick it in a pocket. You can clip it to a page. You can stick it in the back of the journal. So there's that. And I'll show you the other ones I made. A few I decorated. This one is a page from a botanical book. It was a nice thick page. And I just tied it with some baker's twine. And then at the top, I used baker's twine to tie the pages in. And you just open it up and you have a beautiful inside. And then you have all these extra papers to use in the journal. That's that one. And then this one is also another botanical page, but it's tiny. I like it. I like the size. This one I used brads. It just opens up like this. A picture of black mulberry. And then they have all these papers. Like I said, I used an average of 5 in each one. And put the paper clip back on. I think if you do it this way, it'll stay closed. Then there's this one. This one I put a mushroom sticker on it. I might decorate this part. I used one of those vintagey clips. And again, it just opens up like this. This is, now this is scrapbook paper, and it's not paper, it's like a, lightweight cardstock. And used various papers in this one. Pages from a German book. The statistical pages, and this is a digital and coffee dyed paper, and then there's the back of that. So that's that one. And then the last one, I have a little story about that one. This one's a little larger. This is more like the size that Rachel made. This is music paper, and I really wanted to use the music paper. It was thick, but it was kind of brittle. And I thought, I have this idea. I'm going to try it. So I took some tissue, and it was like a brownish colored tissue. And I took some of my Mod Podge that's made for paper. And I put Mod Podge on the music, and then put the tissue paper, laid it over that. And then I put Mod Podge on the top once it was dry underneath. And it worked. It did the job that I was looking for, and that was when I folded it, the paper didn't crack. So I was still able to use the old music. And the tissue paper allows the music to show through. You do get wrinkles here and there, but I think that just kind of adds to the character of the whole thing. I'll untie it and show you the inside, because I only put tissue on one side, which was great. So I'll show you. This is the music, and this was actually the thinner one. I haven't tried the thicker music yet doing this process, but I thought it was a great idea to share. So if you have brittle pages and you want to use it for something, try putting some tissue over it. And I bet if you used white tissue, it would almost be invisible, you know. And I think the Mod Podge also gives it some stability when you put it on. So that's the large one. I was able to use like a really large botanical page from botanical book and some digital papers. I believe that's Artie Mays. This is actually scrapbook paper. This is actually writing paper that's made to look like handmade paper, and a piece of vintage ledger. So these are great additions for a journal, and it gives the journaler extra space and extra papers to use to, you know, decorate their journal or add more writing space. So I hope you got some inspiration from this video, and I will see you next week with another challenge. Bye, everyone.